welcome to Gianti's Kitchen. Still in the West African love, I've got here Ewa Agoyin, which has its roots from Benin Republic and Togo. This method is energy saving and it saves time as well. Please continue watching and subscribe if you haven't. That will be beans, Ewa. Ewa Agoyin literally means honey beans or sweet beans. This is not sweet beans or honey beans. I'm using the local one, so I'm going to soak this. This is 720. While it is soaking, I move on with the peppers. Use red bell pepper and onions. I have the dry ones here, about 3 dry ones, and then enough onions, as many as you can get. I'm going to blend it not too smooth, but smooth. It all depends on what you want to do. I'm going to boil the blended pepper until it is dry or the water content has reduced. This is the soaked beans. It is currently 10 a.m. So I soaked it for slightly over 2 hours, from 7:20 till 10 a.m. I have drained the beans and I'm putting it in a pot ready to cook. I'll add onions to it. Adding water to it. Since it has been soaked, it will need less water, and if I need more water, I can always add it anytime during the cooking process. Okay, so I've got it all on the stove and it's going to cook. Pepper is boiling, so this is the final product. I said earlier that I'm not using sweet beans. I'm using the normal brown beans, and I'm using plantain as a natural sweetener. Another natural sweetener is the sweet potato. You add the sweet potato much earlier than you would add the plantain. I'm checking if the beans is soft. It is doing well. I'm going to add salt to it. After the salt, I'll add the plantain. It seems I'm adding the plantain a bit too late. Okay, since it's like this, I'll have to add a little bit water so it can cook properly. For the sauce, I have a pot on the stove which is already dry. I'm going to add the palm oil to it and allow the palm oil to get hot. Heat up the palm oil, not bleaching, not necessarily. Let me reduce the palm oil since it is hot, and if need be, I can always add more of the bleached palm oil instead of it to be too much. It is hot enough. I'm going to add the sliced or diced onions. Just add enough. You can never have too much of it. I'm gonna fry these onions in oil until it's dry. Some people suggest that it floats, but I don't think I'm gonna let it float. Let me check out the beans. It is soft. I think I mentioned earlier on that I should have added the plantain a little bit earlier. but all in all it is soft. So I'm going to mash some and leave some. Let me check the onions. It is frying well. Back to the beans. This beans cooked for like an hour because I soaked it, and the consistency is perfect. When it cools, it will get thicker. So let me just cover it and then face this. It's floating on it, so I'm going to leave it this way. A minute later, I'm adding the red bell pepper mix, which I grinded with the onions, and then I boiled it down. Give it a good mix, and I think I need more palm oil, so I'll just pour in the palm oil that I reserved. I'm going to be stirring this constantly so that it does not burn. I started making this sauce at 11 a.m. This is on the lowest heat, very low heat, so that it doesn't burn. And I began this at 11 o'clock. It is 28 minutes into it now. See how thick it is? One chicken seasoning cube goes into it. This is 33 minutes into making of the sauce. Add the salt. It's already reducing. It's 11:44 and it's almost done. The only seasoning I used to say were the chicken seasoning cube and the salt. So I'll continue to mix it so that it does not burn. And because I do not want it very dark, I am going to stop right here. So I'll turn off the heat, and of course it will continue to boil. If I turn off the heat, to continue to boil, and it gets darker, like most fried foods that you get darker. Look at it the way it is. It's done. So I'm gonna put it back on the stove and allow the heat to do its work, to continue to cook it. Because there's no heat on it, like 2 minutes after I switched off the heat, and it is getting darker and darker. I've switched off the heat for like 2 minutes. It has stopped boiling. This is what it looks like now. If you want, you could make it darker, but I just like it this way. Everything is all done now. The beans took 1 hour to cook because I soaked it. The soaking also helps to remove the chemical used in the preservation. And for the Agoyin stew, it took like 45 minutes because I boiled down the pepper. Thanks for watching.